Hi, I'm architect Monica Khosla Bhargava. I run an architecture and interior design practice by the name of Kham Consultants. Today, as you can see in the title of the video, I'm going to be sharing some concepts to help you decide your window dressings and draperies. This is an area of interior design where people generally do not call for a professional consultation unless you're getting your whole house redone. Generally, you walk into a store and a salesman tells you to buy this, buy that, and you make your decision basis that. The thing is that they know the latest collection, but they don't know your space well enough. And it's not possible to call an architect or an interior designer every time that you want to change your drapes or curtains. So I'm going to tell you 5 things that I keep in mind while choosing curtains. Do let me know in the comments below if these sound helpful to you and if you want me to do such videos in the future. Okay, now firstly, keep in mind the size of the window and its dominance in the room. If the window occupies one full wall of the room, I recommend that you use the floor to ceiling drapes even if the window doesn't come down right till the floor. I love the vertical lines that come in through the folds of the curtains that gives the room a sense of height and geometry. A design mistake that people commonly make is to use these half curtains, especially on windows which have a sill height of 2.5 to 3 feet. Now these look good in the old houses where windows used to be 3 to 4 feet wide. But in modern construction where wider windows are the rage, these look stunted and they totally destroy a decor. Now you may have many reasons for not using the floor to ceiling drapes. For instance, you may be using a piece of furniture beneath, or let's say in my case, my curtains were being bitten by my dog. So in this case, it's a better option to go in for the fabric Roman blinds. They remain contained within the window and make your room look very neat. Another option that is available in this category are the prefabricated blinds. These work out a little more expensive, but they're well worth the buy. There are many options available in this category, so explore them well before you make your choice. 2 of my favorites are the honeycombed blackout blinds and the dual blinds, which have the sheer and the fabric woven together. The honeycomb blackout ones, they provide excellent soundproofing and insulation, and they're really good for using in, say, bedrooms, your dens, or spaces where you want to avoid heat and noise. The dual ones bring in light during the day, and they also provide privacy, and they're good for using in living rooms. Remember the use of blinds or even the traditional chicks. They bring in a horizontal geometry to the room. And by chicks, I mean these bamboo or wooden blinds. So the choice is between the vertical lines created by the folds of the curtain and the horizontal lines which are created by the blinds. Now the second aspect that needs to be considered is the orientation of the window in the room. Now in case you don't know which direction your window faces, you can check it out on the compass on your phone. Natural light and breeze flows into a room through these windows, and in a tropical country like India, the draperies, they don't just provide privacy, they also protect us from the heat and glare. In temperate zones, it keeps out the cold. If the windows face north, you can manage with curtains without a lining. This is because the direct sunlight doesn't hit the north sides. But with windows on the east, south and west, you definitely need a lining. And for fenestrations which are on the south and the west, I would recommend that you use a blackout lining. In fact, I would suggest that you go one step further and add a layer of sheer curtains. Now, I do not recommend that you use a curtain valance unless you're very sure or you have a designer on the job. I personally am not a fan of valances. This is an area of decor where people generally go very wrong by the way they use the different valances or the trims. When in doubt, keep it simple. In design, remember, less is always more. Moving on to point number 3. This is keeping in mind the color palette of the room. Now, I've already done a video on how to create the color palette of the house, and in case you've missed it, it's linked below and I strongly recommend that you watch it. Now, this is an aspect which most people do consider while selecting their draperies. But the choices available in the market, they are many and innumerable, and you can get totally overwhelmed. This even happens to me sometimes, and I know the rules of the game. So trust me, I know that this isn't easy. Okay, back to the point. The selection of color depends on whether you wish to create a harmony or a contrast in the room. For instance, if you want a monochromatic color scheme, which are basically colors from the same family, you have to harmonize the color of the curtains with the color scheme. This doesn't mean that you have to match the same exact shade like a sari and blouse. You can go in for the tints and tones, add that sense of vibrancy and interest. But in case you wish to go in for a contrast, then create a polychromatic color palette. In this case, pick out a color which is in a small dose in the room and then accentuate it through the drapery. Now that you have a color range in mind, move on to the fourth aspect, which is the texture of the drape. It is the texture of the material that sets the mood, brings in the feel, and creates the emotion. Contrast the texture of the fabric to the room. For rooms which are with plain solid colors and smooth finishes, bring in the textures through those self-weaves, the linens, the jacquards, etc. And for rooms which have a texture either through the paint or the wallpaper, bring in the smoother feel of, say, silks and satins into the room. A mistake that people commonly make is to bring in too many textures. Don't do that, because it's really going to spoil the effect that you're trying to achieve. And if you're using both a sheer and a curtain, then try to contrast the two, because this is going to help you to see them well as differentiate them. If you've come so far, then you really have to stay for this last step, which really seals the deal for having the perfect draperies in your house. When you go to a store or you check online, as we are all having to do nowadays, then look out for the detail of the print or the pattern. This could be the motifs, it could be the geometrics, the floral, the abstracts, the checks, stripes. If your room has a pattern coming in through the wallpaper or the wall design, then stick to those plain curtains or those with mild textures. If you're going to try balancing it with a similar or a contrastic pattern, be very sure of your personal vibe and aesthetic. But for rooms which have simpler and plain walls, feel free to add that style element through the drapery. Don't go too crazy unless, of course, that's your style. In either case, remember to complement your curtains to the style of your decor, be it contemporary, mid-century, Victorian, or very traditionally Indian. If this video has cleared some of your doubts regarding selecting draperies for your room, then don't forget to like, leave a comment, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.